Okay, next chapter, chapter 7, God. And I've read this chapter already, and really Walter Russell explains things in the almost identical way as here. God is all. All things tangible and intangible are within God. Nothing can exist without him. From the Hermetic point of view, we will call God the great universal mind. That is the essence from which everything has emerged, and to which everything will return. The vital spark which is found in minerals, in vegetables, or in man. Everything that exists in the universe, be it matter or energy, is formed in essence by mind, the sole, infinite, and eternal energy, manifested in the infinitely small or the infinitely large. Because everything that exists has emerged from all, the all is similar to a womb, which has in itself the shape of all things. The all is the substantial reality, which is hidden behind all manifestations of life. It is the grand Father-Mother, which created itself, which has always existed, and which will exist forever. Did I turn to? No. God created life to grow in consciousness and intelligence, capturing through man's multiple experiences the most perfect manifestation of this universal essence. In the entire universe, we are aware that everything continually flows and ebbs. Everything changes and evolves. Everything is born and everything dies. But the substantial energy, our mind, grows constantly and expands toward the infinite, its essence remaining unaltered. God is infinite, eternal, absolute, and unaltered, and therefore everything finite, alterable, and transitory cannot be the all. And as in reality nothing exists outside the all, that which is finite or transformable is nothing. In other words, an illusion. From this point of view, occultism maintains that all is illusion, certainly in relation to the absolute, because as far as man is concerned, everything which he perceives through his senses is real to him. Similarly, with relations to man's consciousness, all is illusion. From the viewpoint of the absolute, time does not exist, but we are aware that for man, time is a reality. The universe is composed of relative realities and absolute realities. This is explained as all is matter, and at the same time, all is energy. Matter is nothing but energy in a denser vibratory state. Matter and energy represent the two poles of manifestation of the mind. Matter is the denser vibration, and the spirit is the more subtle. All the universe is a mental creation, and we can therefore affirm that we exist within the mind of God. From the moment that we recognize that God is mind, and that the mind manifests itself in man, we see the possibility of being able to join that great intelligence. This is the study of occultism, the education of the individual so he may display in all its power the divine spark within himself, that is, the part of the great universal mind which lives within him. The concept of God is so vague and absurd for most people that it must be difficult for them to comprehend a God as we have presented him, which is the only concept that reason, logic, and science allows. Atheists who do not believe in God deserve to be pitied as they deny their own existence, deny the air, sun, and life itself. The most widespread concept of God is that of an old man with a white beard who is in heaven, the heaven to which all those who are sinless go, and where they eternally praise him. This idea is all very well for all those lazy ones who do not wish to think about God or about themselves, and who prefer to accept different religious dogmas. The one who desires to know God more fully must study all his manifestations in order to understand his essence. As man is the most perfect manifestation of the great universal mind, it is necessary that he make a conscientious study of himself in order to know God as far as his conceptual state will permit him to do so. The key to the study and knowledge of God is the Hermetic aphorism, all is mind, the universe is mental. I'm going to rearrange this so I can lay the book down. Okay, sorry about that. If we can clearly understand that all is mind, we will have forged ahead in the investigation of the mysteries of life. This energy we call God is manifested in the form of a double force, creative on one hand and destructive on the other. One and the other are mutually in balance. The creative force is permanently creating and giving life, generating. The destructive force seeks at all times to destroy, to create a more perfect form of life. That which the layman calls the devil is nothing more than the counterpart or shadow of God. If we apply the Hermetic aphorism which says, as it is below, it is above, and as it is above, it is below, we will be able to see that the entire universe with its planets, galaxies, suns, and gods may be found in an identical form within man, and more so the creative and destructive force. When he prays, man is in contact with the energy of God, which is within himself, and therefore it is absurd to believe that God will be found in the external when he is found within man. Everything positive emanates from God's creative energy. Love, happiness, optimism, serenity, and the desire to help others are manifestations of the divine generating force. Depression, pessimism, morbid thoughts, hate, jealousy, and possessive love are manifestation of the destructive or disintegrating force. Therefore, it is important only to be in contact with the generating part of God in order to avoid the disintegrating force which causes old age and decrepitude. Melancholy and sadness are examples, for example, are powerful destructive forces which little by little sap the reserve of positive energy of the organism until illness and death result. Happiness, on the other hand, is a powerful positive force which we should constantly endeavor to contact. We should rejoice in the simple things of nature, enjoy the fresh morning air, the song of the birds, and the flowering of the trees. Nature is the manifestation of the feminine side of God in the earth, abundance, creative force, the vigorous power of lustful life. All the great secrets of life are in nature, and she is like an open book for one who can read, for one who can penetrate into the secret of her multiple manifestations. Nature is our loving mother, who at all times watches over the welfare of her children. But when man breaks her laws, he sets himself against her, and loses her protection. Among the laity there is the mistaken belief, fostered by certain religions, that God punishes us when we sin. And these religions go further, casting into hell those who do not follow their dogma or precepts. God is the spiritual force of all life, and love is constantly inspiring us, just as the sun shines on the sinner, the saint, or the criminal, and his light reaches everyone equally. Is it possible that God is a vengeful and moody being whose favor can be won by prayers? God, as the infinite source of life and love, at all times seeks our spiritual development and our welfare. But as creator and keeper of life, he has produced a set of laws which are indispensable for maintaining life. When man breaks these laws, he destroys the harmony of life within himself and encounters pain and misery. That is, he punishes himself when he sets himself up against nature. It is curious how forgetful we are of God until we run to Him requesting selfish material possessions or to achieve all kinds of passionate desires. In the case of war on any major catastrophe, either personal or collective, we immediately cry to God, but as soon as the catastrophe is over, we again forget Him and return to our material pleasures. Nevertheless, instinctively, the deepest desire and yearning of each human being is to reach God, in other words, to find Himself. Some seek this through mysticism and the subduing of their desires, and others choose the terrible path of sensual and material rapture. From the criminal to the saint, from the sage to the beggar, all persons instinctively seek to find themselves and strive toward union with the divine. The only wise way to find God is by the practice of the highest spiritual virtues, practicing love toward all human beings, without distinction of class or color, serving and helping others according to their own strength, being tolerant, respectful, a good citizen, good friend, a good father, and a good son, practicing all virtues within the reach of man as a representative of God upon earth, but practicing them earnestly instead of heartily, without becoming a whited sepulchre, such as the ones who cover themselves with all the virtues while their souls are mean and corrupt. He who desires to find God should remember that the greatest wisdom is to love one another, and to remember that one who is highest should be more humble and ready to help and succor others. He should never forget that pride, vanity, and presumptuousness are enemies par excellence of the human being. It is only possible to reach God through a doorway which has the motto, love and service. And now, Chapter 8, the mystery of life and death. In order to be a success in life and wisely practice the art of living, it is necessary to have a basic knowledge of life and death and to realize what destiny is. If we agree that man has a spirit and a body, we will be able to understand logically that if the body ages and dies, the spirit, on the other hand, is perpetually young and is immortal. Can God, who is unfolded within our spirit, die? When we consider this matter of body and spirit, immediately the eternal question arises of why we must live in a material body when we could live eternally in a spiritual form. We must seek in God the reason for the incarnation of the Spirit in a body. For as spirits, we are part of God and must cooperate with His great work of perfection and expansion. On the one hand, we make ourselves perfect due to the multiple experiences we face in our lives. And on the other hand, we represent God on earth, bringing about the evolution of matter. The great human work is to make conscious, or in other words, spiritualize matter. As man must undergo many experiences before he attains spiritual perfection, and before he acquires sufficient understanding of God, the spirit must dwell within many bodies to acquire different experiences, and this is known as reincarnation. In this succession of lives, nature works wisely and kindly, erasing from our mind all memories which remain engraved only in the form of experiences or in the potential capacity of the individual. It is necessary to clarify that reincarnation is not possible for everyone, as there are many who are not reincarnated, for there is nothing that survives their physical form. Upon death, they disintegrate and are reabsorbed by their original source, or the great universal soul. How one is born. In the space adjacent to the earth are found the spirits of all those who have already gone through the process of purification after death and are ready to be reborn into material life. These spirits vibrate at different heights, which are in direct relation to the level of consciousness they have attained. Those who are inferior remain a few yards above the earth, and those who have reached the conceptual development of an Einstein, for example, are beyond the stratosphere. When a couple are joined in the creative act, a streak of magnetic lightning is launched into space, and the lightning is, in its magnitude, a direct relation to the moral, emotional, and spiritual quality of both. If this lightning reaches, for example, 500 meters in height, it will choose from the egos which are there, and most harmonious with the vibrations of the parents. This electromagnetic force attracts this ego like a giant magnet, and it penetrates into the head of the father until it reaches the spermatozoan zone and enters into the mother. When it passes through the father, it shares his spiritual mental vibration, and the vibration of the mother is received during the 9 months of pregnancy. This gestation period is the most important in the fate of the unborn baby, as it receives a constant discharge of different vibrations through the mother, which strongly influence its future life on earth. When the babe is born and breathes for the first time, his life on earth begins, and at that moment the vibration of the cosmic rays which at times bombard the earth are recorded. This combination of cosmic rays ruled by the different planetary positions form what we call fate. Fate is formed by 4 main causes. The karma brought from other lives, that is, the assembly of good or bad deeds which have taken place in another life and whose effects must be expiated in this life. 2, that which is received from the parents. 3, that which is received from the position of the planets at the time of birth. And 4, the experiences which will be undergone before reaching 33 years of age, which is the time when one starts to live out this experience created in youth. During all his life, man is just a slave to his fate and lives entirely unconscious of this slavery. The Oriental proverb, "Everything is written," is great wisdom, as the occult judges or lords of fate are the divine powers which direct human destiny and determine before the individual is born what his life will be on earth, that is, his fate. The hermetist can foretell the future of a person by observing the map of destiny, which has been traced before incarnation. A beggar as well as a king has been assigned a destiny, which has been traced according to experiences necessary for its development. When the hermetist attains a high state of consciousness, he is master of his own destiny, as he conquers the forces which endeavor to impel him toward experiences which he does not need, since he has become conscious. This is the most notable difference between the initiate and the man who is unaware of nature's laws. One lives fully conscious and knows perfectly well where he is going, and the other is like a leaf in the wind. Death. Once a man has come to the end of the terrestrial cycle, which was assigned to him in his present body, there comes the transformation we call death, which is only birth into another life. When separation takes place between the spirit and the body, one is born in the field of energy. This life is completely different from the physical, as it is not possible to enjoy the material pleasures of the previous life. Because the law is that children feed from their parents, the newly disincarnate must face all the mental forms born from his passions, desires, and feelings encountered during his life on earth. From this fact comes the belief in hell, as this is a veritable hell for those who have turned to base human passion, because their spiritual children face them in the form of horrible devils who endeavor to continue feeding on them. In order to evolve, they must overcome all evil inclinations and weaknesses until the disintegration of the children of their passion is attained. Once this is accomplished, there is a period of rest on higher levels until they are fit to return to life again. One who has lived a pure and noble life on earth will upon death be surrounded by angels, which are his own spiritual children, who will help him to rise to the invisible planes. For one who has not taken the trouble to cultivate himself spiritually and morally, death is a constant threat and appears in his eyes as something horrible. This is not the case for one who has reached a higher state of consciousness. As for him, death is a new life, and he is absolutely unafraid, for he is certain of having acted always according to the dictates of his conscience. Unbelievers and materialists doubt that there is another life after death, and maintain that after death all is finished. These thinkers do not take the trouble to reason in accord with the science which maintains that nothing is lost in the universe, that all is transformed. Nothing dies. Everything passes to another state of existence. Can a word die after having been uttered? Can a thought die? Chapter 9. Anguish and Human Problems. Knowledge without practical application is useless, and for this reason, in this book I wish to put into proportion, as far as possible, some knowledge of occultism that will be within the reach of all, without previous study being necessary to make use of the instruction given hereto. It is my wish to eliminate all complicated language which is used in treatises on occultism, for it is necessary to be erudite to decipher them. I am aware that in many of these books the truth has been deliberately hidden, as it is dangerous to shout this from the rooftops. In ancient times, occult knowledge was only taught to those who were chosen after undergoing terrible tests of a physical, moral, and spiritual character. But in this era of materialism and confusion, it is necessary to reveal this science as far as the secretism allows, as inspiration and help to those who desire to continue higher study, or for those who simply wish to help themselves in any manner, either economically, emotionally, or psychologically. There are those who have serious problems and seek help in order to solve them, but they do not know where to look and lift their eyes in vain to heaven. If occultism is mentioned, they smile incredulously, just as science does. To these I would suggest that they first practice the advice given in this book and only afterwards judge the results. If 1,000 years ago it were said that men would be able to talk across a wire, that there would be a box where living images would appear, and that man would travel in vehicles which would move by themselves, people would have laughed, calling the author of these statements mad. With time, all the marvelous powers of occultism, like telepathy, clairvoyance, and other lesser knowledge, will be a matter of public domain and practiced on a daily basis. Everything is a question of evolution. More or less time will elapse for the acquiring of conscience and intelligence. If we think of the relativity of time, we can understand that there may be a science which enormously accelerates the development of human consciousness to unknown limits. This science has been kept and continues being kept a secret, for humanity is not prepared to receive it until a sufficient degree of moral and spiritual perfection is attained. The one who constantly practices goodness, fraternal love, and human virtues rises spiritually and deserves this knowledge which is impossible to acquire without preparation. Due to a mistaken attitude produced by the tremendous materialism of our age, everyone seeks happiness through material possessions. The most important of these are riches and wealth, because with these one expects to gain everything in life. But after much complication and confusion, one only ends in disgust and deception, as there are very few who attain true happiness, which should be the birthright and legitimate right of all on earth. What is obtained by great riches if man arrives with the realization that time has gone by too quickly and that much of what he really yearned for has not been attained? One can ask bitterly, what will I be leaving behind on earth after death? Unfortunately, or fortunately, no human is born without knowledge, and it is necessary to live 50 or 60 years before arriving at the age of discernment necessary to avoid mistakes. Paradoxically, when this wisdom is acquired, knowledge of the art of living, the body starts to flag. Due to advancing age, and death occurs just when an adequate state of consciousness has been reached to attain true happiness. This apparent injustice should make us think and meditate on what mysterious power gives life without our consent, and which, once we have learned to enjoy life, takes it away. Naturally, not everyone takes advantage of experience, and many reach old age as ignorant or more so than in youth. There are many universities in the world, schools and centers of study which make the civilized world proud of the degree of culture attained. But nowhere are there schools which teach the most necessary and difficult of all sciences, the art of living. The final result of a life is merely accidental or chance, produced by the great law which governs the animal kingdom, the law of the strongest. It is a veritable miracle that normal, healthy youths with normal intellectual and spiritual preoccupations turn into professionals, as they encounter so much mystery, so much spiritual abandonment, so much hate, so much egotism, ignorance, and unsolvable unknown factors, that it is strange that their minds do not become unhinged with the many and tremendous contradictions. Triumph is generally for those who bandage their eyes and plug their ears in order not to see or hear anything and become insensitive to the great human problems. Many who have glimpsed the truth suddenly have become insane. Parents transmit to their children only their personal concept of life, which is related to their own experiences and knowledge, but not according to the immutable and eternal laws. For this reason, children always find their parents old-fashioned and feel they are misunderstood by them. Psychology and psychiatry are making a determined effort to condition the psyche so that life can be faced under better terms, but are unable to control certain psychic manifestations which are beyond orthodox knowledge. Psychologists initiated into the mysteries of the mind could contribute in the educational world to a change of psychic state in their patients, thus eliminating all that is evil and negative. All the young have serious emotional and spiritual problems, which generally are not understood by their parents, and because of these problems, make mistakes which they would have avoided if in their right mind. I say in their right mind because when problems of any kind turn into a dangerous obsession, the mental and emotional stability of the individual weakens, and he is not responsible for his actions, as he loses his reasoning power. On these occasions, the psychiatrist is irreplaceable. Religious consolation does not satisfy modern man, who always wants to know the why of all things, who wishes to know the scientific cause which produces things. I do not wish in any way to injure the sensibilities of those of religious faith, but only to show that if there are individuals who are content to accept the religious dogmas of a faith, there are others who seek the way of reason and knowledge by learning the cause. For those who seek the way of knowledge, occultism is the end of the trail, because unbiased investigation, done calmly and intelligently, will make it possible to understand the occult cause of all phenomena we perceive through our senses and our mind. The art of living is so simple and so difficult at the same time. The secret is in the saying, love one another. Unfortunately, the human being is weak, lacking in willpower, stability, unity, and conscience. He is so weak that he is perpetually harassed by a multitude of desires, ambitions, hates, egotism, vanity, and various passions which block the way to higher achievement. All these states of passion are a veritable prison for the spirit, as it is incapable of fully enjoying life in the body and cannot express itself, its thoughts, desires, and capabilities through this body, which is its vehicle on earth. The spirit, which is perfect in essence as an emanation of God, is dragged down by the savage, animal-like, and passionate material plane where the actions committed are against the spirit's desires for greater evolution. Rather than the body serving the spirit is obliged to serve the body, having been totally erased and displaced by the selfish desires of the body, which seeks satisfaction of its own condition. It is for this reason that abuse of the purely physical satisfactions, such as drinking, eating, and various sensual refinements, produces a tremendous internal dissatisfaction, which is the reaction of the spirit when it is dragged into the committing of acts in opposition to its high condition. One habit which brings dire consequences is the habit of satisfying all bodily desires as soon as they are evident. One imagines ultimate happiness is the power to enjoy all kinds of material comforts, even though one lives in a poverty-stricken spiritual state. And an intelligent, fraternal, and spiritually sensitive man is frequently looked upon as someone of no value if he has no large bank account or a luxurious car. Those who have great wealth are respectfully received everywhere. All the world pays them homage, and all doors are open to them. They form a kind of millionaires' aristocracy, who look down on those who are not wealthy. It is curious, however, what can be observed on the spiritual level or energy plane, commonly called the fourth dimension. There, the spiritual aristocracy exists, a brotherhood accessible only to those who have been able to transform the base metal of their soul into spiritual gold, that is, those who have overcome all weakness and passion and replaced them with virtues. On this plane we can see an important businessman smartly dressed and driving in a luxurious car, looking like a beggar, and carrying on his shoulder horrible demons. These demons are this man's material possessions, which have made him a slave to his wealth. He has no house, the house owns him. He has no car, the car owns him. But a humble janitor on the same plane is treated as a great gentleman and is dressed in snow white and beautiful clothes. Life is a gigantic play with millions of actors in which each one puts on a mask to act the part assigned to him by the stage director or God. The difference between the theater and reality is that in reality, each man plays various parts, has many masks and disguises, one for each occasion. He is obliged to assume different roles to impress others and strengthen his personality. After he plays these parts for some time, he confuses them with reality, and this confusion becomes part of the psyche of the individual. These masks contribute to man being kept in the depths of ignorance of reality, for he sees everything according to the parts he plays. The trite recommendation, know thyself, is converted in something that is impossible in the profusion of masks. Let us imagine a play in which each actor wishes to interpret his own role without taking the other actors or the stage director into account, and we would have a good idea of what happens in the human soul. The stage is so confused with reality that man is incapable of seeing objectively through his senses. Man's perception is subjective, and for that reason he lives in ignorance, imprisoned by pain, illness, and fear of death, in spite of having all the wisdom of the universe within him. This change in the thinking principle of an individual is the veritable Tower of Babel, which initiated the total and complete incomprehension of the human race. All human deeds are conditioned by external events which influence, in one way or the other, the state of mind of an individual, swaying him towards a certain decision. There are few authentic revelations of the ego or spirit which can only be considered within the conscious plane. Normal manifestations are produced by different pressures exerted psychically by something made known through the senses or vibrations. It's not physically. Normal manifestations are produced by different pressures exerted psychically by something made known through the senses or vibrations recorded subconsciously through experiences leading up to these manifestations. The study of occultism is the study of self for the purpose of distinguishing between what is real and unreal, authentic or artificial. We could call reality the spirit, and what is not real the personality. From here on we shall consider personality as the life within man, which he has obtained through inheritance, education, environment, and pleasant or unpleasant experiences. In contradistinction to personality is the essence of man, which is the realm of the spirit. Knowing and fully understanding this, it is curious to hear someone say, "I want to do thus and such a thing," or "My opinion is as follows." It is impossible for a machine to have an opinion or wish to do something. Is it possible to talk about the conscience of a machine, the will of a machine, or the love of a machine? Modern robots created by scientists are nothing new. They are simply a human caricature. These robots are programmed through different circuits, always to act the same under specific circumstances. The reaction is directed by the circuit. It is easy to understand that it is impossible for one of these robots to think for itself, that is, to perform deeds which are not previously recorded in the circuits, by combining the information recorded. From the moment it performed this way, it would have acquired consciousness. Man is the same as these robots. He thinks, feels, reacts, always according to the combination of his different circuits. This is not reality. It is not objective. These are circuits recorded in his psyche by different circumstances. When referring to this state into which man has fallen, it is said in occultism that he is sleeping, deeply sleeping, for all that happens is as if dreamt behind the thick veil of his different circuits. Everything agreeable or pleasing physically contributes to making this sleep deeper. This is the reason for all fasting, privations, torments, and discipline of mystics who seek the development of their conscience. This discipline is to harrow the body, to shake it into awakening from its lethargy. The worst of this peculiar state is that nobody is aware of it, and when a man is told about it, he laughs ironically and says, "I am asleep? How can this be when I am awake?" This inability to recognize the state of sleep immediately hinders all possibility of progress, as it is impossible to ask someone to fight something whose existence is denied. It is possible to recognize the dormant state only by careful self-observation and self-analysis. And I will have to catch up with this because there's quite a lot more to this chapter in the next series. This is the Dove Lady. Over and out for now.